I am chilling here in my little cabin on board the Silja Serenade. This is my view right now. We are docked in Helsinki, and because the ship is basically empty except for crew, I figured this would be a good time to walk around and show you what this ship is like. I'm Morgan from the Very Unofficial Travel Guides. I've been making travel videos for over 15 years of popular and not so popular tourist destinations to give you a very honest, unofficial look at what it's like to be there. And I've also written 2 books full of true travel stories of weird things that have happened to me around the world. They're called Getting Stitches on a Cruise Ship and Places Please. If you like to read, enjoy this video, and want to give me a little bit of extra support, please check them out on Amazon now. Oh wow, I just walked out of my cabin and look, the cabin across from me is open here. Let's take a look at it. They offered me an upgrade for, I think, only like 18 euros a night to move into a cabin like this, but I decided I wanted to stay in the promenade view and see what that was like. I'm up here on deck 12 at the very front of the ship, and this is a really nice lookout point, especially when you're sailing out of or into Stockholm. That scenery, I think, is just so picturesque. It's called the Swedish Sharon or Sharon, at least that's what we call it in Germany. The passage is not very wide. There are little islands all over the place with people's houses and cabins. It's just fascinating to look out and see all this scenery. This is the bridge up here, and I think that these are actually cabins. I hope there's nobody in there right now, like staring back at me, but you can see that there's like curtains. Well, I can see there's curtains on the other side of these windows. Let's go a little bit further back now. By the way, yes, it's cold. So this is the area where on a traditional cruise ship, you would have probably the pool, but what you do have here is a playground and an indoor sort of top deck smoking area with a view down into the promenade. Let me just correct myself. This indoor top deck area is not the smoking area, but there's another space just like this a little bit further back on the ship that we're gonna look at, and that is a smoking area. I just don't know. Weird use of the space here. It's not necessarily good for sightseeing because you have like 2 panes of glass to look through. I don't know, maybe they have private functions in here or something. It seems like they have it set up so that people can set drinks down here. I don't know. Between the playground and that indoor area, there is a small bar here that hasn't been opened on this cruise. I'm sure they only do that when it's warmer outside. And then this is the other space I was talking about that is the indoor top deck smoking area. Ooh, and it is smoky in here. People have been using this space for sure. But you can see in comparison to the other room like this, they don't have a holder for, or like a countertop for drinks here, just ashtrays. Whew, back out in the fresh air, and I wanted to show you this up here is actually the like nightclub. It's where the late night stuff happens on the cruise or on this ferry. It's called New York, and I went there last night after the show and there was nothing happening. I think it was like 3 or 4 crew members sitting in there and nobody else. As we walk across the bridge. And here we are at the back of the ship. It's a big, wide open space. There are chairs and seating possibilities. And if it was not freezing cold outside, I'm seriously so cold right now, I can't wait to go back inside. This could be a nice place to hang out and watch the scenery go by. There's another thing up here on deck 12 that is a special feature. That is the Sunflower Oasis, which is a like wellness area. There are men's and women's saunas, and then a mixed area with different hot tubs as well as a bar, and entrance cost 14 euros for adults. Oh, children can go in there too. Sorry, it's not that I don't like children. I just don't like children in places where people tend to go to relax. You know what I mean? So check out this promenade. Isn't this spectacular? And if you're watching this thinking, oh, they copied Royal Caribbean, it's actually the other way around. These ships existed first, and then Royal Caribbean sort of took over this design element. I'm not going to go through every individual restaurant and shop here in the promenade, but there are plenty, and the prices are, yeah, you know, Scandinavia is expensive. You can see a basic coffee costs €3, espresso $3.50, and so on. I had a pint of beer last night and it cost €9.90. That's like Miami Beach prices, but that's kind of typical for Scandinavia, especially when you're talking about alcohol or cigarettes. At the very back of Deck 12 is the Sea Pub, which is definitely a popular place to hang out, and I think it's also one of very few places here on the lower decks where you can have easy access to a smoking area. And it has a cool pub atmosphere, and they were showing sports like football and tennis on the television screens. Okay, you can see some of the prices here. A Brooklyn Bel Air sour beer is $8.90, a Muffloni $8.90, Kilkenny $10.90. Must called Porter Lager $7.90. Like I said, not cheap. And now we're gonna walk all the way to the other end of the promenade to the front of the ship. This is where the Starlight Lounge is, which is like the show area. I wouldn't consider it a theater. It's more like a cabaret style seating arrangement. They have a variety of shows here on board. I think every few weeks it changes, and at the moment it's a drag artist who does like 20 different characters in one night. It was entertaining, and contrary to what it's like on the Color Line ferries, seats in the show lounge here don't cost extra, and you are not required, or I think even able to reserve in advance. There are also quite a few seats here in the show lounge that are just like, you can be in the show and get the atmosphere of the show, but you're not going to see any of the show. And it reminds me of the newer Costa ships, which are also clones of the AIDA ships, the German brand of Carnival. They also have this show space in the middle where, unfortunately, unless you're one of the 150 people who get one of the good seats, you're going to have a partially or almost completely obstructed view. One sort of tip or secret space I can tell you about that Taro, who works on board, told me about. It's called the Sea View Lounge, and it's back there, like behind the stage. So I think probably a lot of people don't even realize it's there. And this is, of course, a fantastic place to go for views of sailing away or sailing into the port. And you can imagine it gets very crowded during those times. So if you want to sit in here in the warmth and have a good view, just make sure you get here early. There's also a small casino. And I'm not sure what the odds are like here compared to like on the big Royal Caribbean NCL cruise ships. And I haven't spent any time in this casino, nor will I. So I can't really give you any more information about that. But what I can tell you about is the food. If you're not familiar with ferry travel, there is nothing included in the price of the cruise. So anytime you want to get a coffee, an iced tea, a water, anything like that, you're going to have to pay extra unless you brought it with you. And that is something you can do on a ferry that you can't do on a cruise ship. And all the restaurants and dining venues are in the promenade or one deck below. They have some like less expensive counter service options, and then also some sit down restaurants. I chose to go to the buffet, which is where I ate last night, and I will be eating again tonight. I think it cost me €45 extra per night, but I love buffet. I love to have all the different options, and I think it's probably about the price of a Las Vegas buffet. Actually, I haven't been to Las Vegas in several years. What does a Las Vegas buffet cost nowadays? And especially if you like seafood, this is a good buffet. The front desk is also in the promenade, and another bit of useful information I can give you is to check out the daily schedules, which are posted right next to the desk on the wall. I think it pretty much stays the same every day, so you can just take a picture of it and you're good to go. Also in the promenade is the entrance to the gigantic Duty-Free store. This is like a small supermarket that doesn't only offer makeup, perfume, and very expensive serums. They also have a large amount of food and liquor. Technically, you're not allowed to eat or drink anything you buy in the duty-free while you're on board, but everybody does, and I don't think there's any way that they check. This store is huge compared to what you usually see on a ship. So now that you've seen this, would you be interested in taking a journey with the ferry? Remember, it's mostly a form of transportation and not technically a vacation destination, so to speak. I had a nice conversation with a table mate at dinner who commutes from Helsinki to Stockholm for work and uses the ferry instead of taking a flight. Of course, the flight is quicker, but the ferry is more fun and costs much less than a flight, actually. Let me know what you think about this in the comments, and I hope to see you back here soon on the very unofficial travel guides.